What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and AP. Apologies for the late start today. Still celebrating the demise of the 76ers as that series mercifully ends. Joel Embiid can go rest his broken face. Poor man, that guy played through everything. But boy, at a certain extent, right? Maybe it's good to get him off the court. AP, let's start with you. What did you think of last night's NBA action?
I'm glad that slate and series is over. Like, honestly, it was just brutal. Absolutely
Tyler,
brutal.
did his mic get bad again?
Yeah, it did. It's making like a stop.
I'll be right back.
All right, jump out, jump back in. Yeah, that's crazy. We even checked before we went on, guys. That was not, I don't know how that happened. But Tyler, talk to me about what happened and what you saw last night.
Yeah, I mean, they did what Philly does. They kind of got behind in the game and they kind of knew the series was over. James Harden did his thing he does every time in a playoff series when he's down. Realizes he's kind of out of it. He just gives up. So I see they're going to keep Doc Rivers till next year, which
really,
yeah. Which I mean, like he's not the best coach, but like look at the options out there spread. Like what else are you getting?
Like Kenny Atkinson.
I mean, is that much better?
Yes.
Little mic check. Better?
Good.
Sounds good. Sounds
now.
better.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens.
Freaking, oh, man. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. So Tyler, says he's surprised or not, wasn't surprised they lost, wasn't surprised Harden wilted, but he doesn't think that Doc Rivers is that bad an option. What do you think, AP?
Sorry, what was that again?
Well, go ahead, Tyler. You tell
him. Joey Works comment in the chat. The jet,
yeah.
Like a 400-pound man.
I think the best way to describe Doc Rivers as a coach spread, he's just the NBA version of your boy Mike Tomlin. He could do it in the regular season. He has one championship, and he fucks everything up in the playoffs.
Mike Tomlin's way better. If Mike Tomlin had a Joel Embiid caliber player, he would get it done.
He had Antonio Brown.
What's up?
He had Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. And they didn't get it done.
All right, we'll save the Tomlin for the NFL rundown. That's quite the comparison.
That's the comparison for me.
I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different issues there. One kind of building some chemistry. I mean, that's kind of more of an excuse. Like, oh, Harden and Embiid didn't have enough chemistry. Honestly, it's just. I mean, I don't know if he was calling Harden out or what, but Harden is a different player. He's not the same kind of takeover type of player that he was in Houston. And I don't know. He looked slow. They were, like they're fighting on the bench and stuff. You saw Tyrese Maxey look frustrated. I just think the Heat were better. I think they had their number. Max Strus, K. Alex Boyd, just. How good was he? Like he was the MVP of the series. I mean, it was incredible. Then Jimmy Butler was the MVP of the series, and
he was the most improved player.
He was out. It was he was out for revenge too. We saw it right there at the end. Like it was crazy. So I'm so glad Philly's done. From a DFS standpoint, I hated that slate. I hated the Philly Heat and the Suns, Mavs, like that kind of series together. It was just brutal from a DFS standpoint. I was changing Harden's projection to like 32, 33, and he was still hitting some of my builds. It was really frustrating, but yeah, I mean, the Heat deserved that, 4-2, and they're moving on. They look good. I mean, it's going to be an interesting battle, probably against the Bucks, but, we'll see.
All right, a couple things on what you guys said, specifically on Harden. First of all, this idea that these point guards are going to be so good past age 32 is so foreign to me. Every point guard that I grew up with, besides John Stockton, fell off a cliff after they turned 30. Gary Payton, one of my favorite players ever. Wasn't really much after 30, right? Remember when he went to the Lakers in 2004? Kevin Johnson, right? Our mayor in Sacramento. I've actually, met him. Great guy, one of my favorite people. Another guy, he was unbelievable at Phoenix, fell off the cliff after 30, right? Then, Chris Paul, right? But Chris Paul's like John Stockton in my mind, where it's like, yes, they were good athletes, but they never relied on their athleticism. It was always fundamentals, basketball IQ, right? That really a little bit of dirtiness on defense, right? That were allowed them to play so late. So when these guys are giving these extensions to these point guards over 30, I just think it's a mistake, and I'm not surprised at all. The other thing, though, is I think if Embiid didn't have the sprained thumb and we saw the regular season Embiid, I think that facilitator playmaker might have been enough, because I would have wanted all my usage going through Embiid. It was just he wasn't the guy that we saw during the regular season. So I think, made it rough on the Sixers and then rough on Harden because everyone expected him to elevate. And I just don't think that we can expect that from him anymore.
What, like one thing too, and why I agree with you 100%. Go back to what game was it? Game 3 that they won? Is that the game where Harden actually had a good game?
Yeah, game 4. Game 4, he had 30.
How emotional he was. Like when he was hitting those step backs, like we hadn't seen like emotion from James Harden in quite some time. And so it just went to show, like, like he wasn't expecting it. He was like that pumped up. And that's kind of telling. It's telling where his game is at. And he is going to have to rely more on IQ, basketball IQ and stuff if the playmaking isn't going to be there. Yeah,
so we will see. Philly's got a tough decision there. I think that their ideal situation, as crazy as it sounds, is he opts in. Then he has another bad year, and then they don't really feel forced to give him the max there. But, boy, if they have to give him that 4 or 5 year extension, that's going to be absolutely terrible.
I know they're going to extend him, but, like, from a basketball standpoint, you didn't give up much for him. I'd let the guy walk.
You gave up 2 first-round picks, but there's the sunk cost
that's
fallacy,
basically
right?
it.
Like, just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you should continue investing in it.
That's what I mean. Like,
is his style up, like, is he the guy that, okay, so let's just throw away what we've seen. If Embiid was healthy and like a full go, because obviously he was battling multiple injuries, don't you need more of like just like a playmaking type of point guard?
Yeah.
Versus like a takeover type of point guard with Joel Embiid?
That's why I said they're lucky if he opts in, they get a whole year to kind of evaluate the 5-year deal, because 41, it wouldn't be a bad contract, but it wouldn't be that bad for where he's at. I'm just thinking if he's in the 50s 3 to 4 years from now, that's going to be bad.
They got, we the people in the chat, they got Tyrese Maxey, who this dude, he looks good. He could be that ideal guy, alongside Joel Embiid. Let him walk, and I don't know, what do you do with Tobias Harris? I guess I'm not that familiar with his contract, but
the problem is you gave up 2 firsts in the Harden deal, and you're going to have to attach a first to get someone to take the Harris contract.
Gotcha.
You just got to eat the Harris deal and just let it expire.
Yeah. The other thing is, with the way the CBA is set up, I don't think that the expiring deals have the same value that they used to, because everybody knows the cap's going to go up in a couple years. So I don't know if people are gunning for cap space the way they were. Also, the fact that aligning these teams hasn't been the way to go. It seems like the way to go is to draft your stars and then bring in the proper role players. So I don't know if cap space is as valuable as it once was. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Harris. My guess is they have to run it back with him, because I don't know. You want to give up a first-round pick? I don't know even how much space that would give him. I'd have to look at Spotrac. I'm not exactly sure there, but it's so crazy, because I think that you hit it right on the head, though, AP. If Embiid's 100% healthy, I don't know if we're having this conversation.
How many like transition buckets did they have yesterday? It seemed like every time I was like watching, it was like they were battling, in the half court, which is just tough against a team like Miami. You gotta get out and transition and run, and you got a guy in Maxey that you can do that with. So it was, I don't know, it was kind of, you're not going to win a game slowing it down against the Miami Heat. So I don't, and that goes back to coaching, it goes back to what you guys were saying, to begin with. So yeah, baffling stuff for sure.
Yeah. Anything more on that series, Tyler? Or do you want to talk about Glaucoma's victory last night? He was partying in Dallas. I think he's just waking up now with the streamers all over his body, trying to figure out what's going on, as the whole city of Dallas rejoiced as they forced a Game 7. What did you think, Tyler?
Yeah, before we get touched on that, though, if they do let him walk, looking at this free agency class, would you rather have Harden the way he's looked, or sign a guy like Levine and run a backcourt of Levine and Maxey?
Oh, you'd much rather have Levine, but that's
Exactly,
assuming that
yeah.
you can get Levine.
But I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, if you could talk to some of these guys, we know they do their tampering.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Yeah, if you could talk to a guy and he's coming to Philly, I'd let him walk.
Mhm.
But yeah, for
Yeah,
Dallas,
I like that.
Looking at this Dallas series, I mean, doesn't this remind you of the
Tyler,
Clippers
one more
series?
thing now. Is Morey willing to end that friendship? That's like his best friend in the whole world.
I mean, that's the only thing though, is like once you're playing like personal emotions into it, that's where it screws it all up.
I wonder. I really wonder. So, all right, go ahead and break down that Dallas game, please.
Yeah, but I mean, it just looks like how they played the Clippers the other year, where it'd be like one team wins at home, the other team wins their home games, and no road team wins. I think that's what's going to happen in this series. They're going back to Phoenix. Phoenix probably finishes them off at home. But, I mean, Dallas played good. Phoenix just looked like they played a very bad game last night. I mean, sometimes that just happens. Booker shot bad, so we'll see what happens in Game 7.
It was an avalanche, and it was nice, Tyler. I had to stretch out, right? That's why we're a little late starting up today, right? Because I knew I was victory lapping. Went one game against you, one game against JSU, got them both right, and I felt like on the Dallas call, one thing I did identify was if you're like modeling this game, home court's worth like 15 to all these role players, right? And when you're doing your Saber Sim projections, AP, it was the same way. It's like just knock all the role players of the home team up, knock all the role players on the road team down, leave the stars the same, unless you have like a feeling on it. But I felt like that was the way that I was able to get things done last night. And of course, they'll have a premium show on Sunday morning, but we won't have one. So we'll kind of do a brief preview now. What are your thoughts on the Suns and the Mavericks in Game 7? I'm with Tyler. Throw last night's result out the window. I'm going to take the home team again, and I'm going to lay the points with the Suns. What do you think, AP?
Yeah, I'm, make that probably 3 in a row for me too. And one of the reasons, like one of the key reasons, in my opinion, the extra day of rest, that's going to help out our boy CP3. Like he needs that. Like if there's any one guy in this series that's going to benefit from that, it's Chris Paul, the aging Chris Paul. Now, yeah, but so like I agree with everything that you said there. Home court has just been so massive in these series. I don't see them like blowing them out like what we've seen though. I think we're going to see a battle, and I think it comes. I think it's closer down the stretch there, but I could see it being one of those games where they do win by like 8 or 9 points. So I don't know. I go back and forth on that number 6.5. If I had like gun to my head, if I had to bet, it would be the Suns. They just look phenomenal at home. I do think they're the more talented and more complete team, all around. And all they, it's are they going to let Luka beat them again? I mean, it comes down to Luka. I mean, Luka was just incredible. So he could do it. Like if there's a guy that can definitely do it, he definitely could. But come on, like Chris Paul, Devin Booker, extra day of rest, which is going to benefit Chris Paul. Might even benefit like a guy like Jay Crowder too. So I'm with you guys. Has to be the Suns here. Well, I'm definitely rooting for. So I'm definitely rooting for the Mavericks because I am too. I made one of the worst bets I've ever made. I think against Title. I don't know what I was doing. I was probably one too many whiskeys deep one night, feeling good about myself.
Was it bourbon or was it scotch?
It was bourbon, always bourbon. Yeah, I'm not a big scotch guy. Every now and then I'll have some scotch.
You got to get a little drier there with your taste.
But no, I have a future bet against Titletown, who just wrote me in, like the donkey I am. Warriors against Suns. I'm on the Warriors, and he's the Suns. And I just, after what I saw against Memphis the other night, and what I saw the night before at home, I think the Suns are going to absolutely dust them. So I'm gonna have to find a way.
I don't hate your spot, and I'm gonna be on the island there.
Seriously? Okay.
Maybe that's some of my NorCal bias, but I don't really care if we lost by 39. Like, does it matter? Is there a difference between losing by 10 and losing by 30? And I think they know that. And if they were a young team that hadn't done this a bunch of times before, it might be cause for concern. But boy, they're not going to be able to run that Steven Adams style Jaron Jackson. And I know Tyler and JSU both said that they can kind of do it, with McGee and Ayton and kind of try and replicate it, but it just doesn't seem their style. They seem to be the smaller team here. They don't have that. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I also don't trust. I just trust Curry a lot more than Chris Paul if it comes down to it. So and Curry hasn't been the best this offseason either. So changing the guards coming soon. I don't hate your spot though, AP. I don't think you're in that much trouble. I'll bet you Tyler does though, huh? Tyler, you like?
I don't think they have a chance.
Who, the Warriors?
Yeah.
Right,
unless they just fire up a bunch of threes and they go in, how are they going to defend them? We talk about defense on the show a lot. They have one of the
best defenses in the league.
But this is a different matchup. Like, there's wings out there a lot taller than guys.
Why are they 2-1 against the Suns this year?
Well, it's regular season. We throw regular season out the window when it comes to playoffs.
Who's got rings?
Well, the rings from years before, Spread. We're talking about past. This doesn't matter.
I'm just saying they have postseason experience and they beat them in the regular season.
You're talking about a team that was in the finals last year. Postseason experience goes out the window. They both have experience.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah. So.
One problem though is Otto Porter's kind of banged up, and
they have no bodies.
Gary Payton, he's hurt. We don't know his status, and they're forced to start Jonathan Kuminga, which he's young. He's really young, going to get picked on. So,
yeah.
And I don't, Draymond, I know he was like good buddies with, the guy that got shot. I don't know how much that had an impact on him last game. But he didn't look himself. They all looked like they didn't really care out of the gate. So it's going to be really telling tonight, from the get-go, because this Memphis team is young and hungry, man, and they absolutely poured it on. So it's going to be an interesting game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them do this before, where they just they don't care about the road game, and they know they have the opportunity to win it at home. And I don't want to say they're front runners, because the Warriors' third quarter bet was like the best bet between 2015 to 2018, right? So they obviously can play from behind, but they also do have that ability.
Why would you do that when you almost lost the other night, though? Like, they should have lost that game. And I know we, could have, should have, would have, but they were like, when you rewatch, when I rewatched that game when the Warriors were playing at home, I was watching that fourth quarter. And I'm like, how did they win this game? I mean,
that was another game where it didn't feel like they screwed around the whole game too.
I feel like Dylan Brooks won that game for them.
Season. Yeah.
Right? Did Dylan Brooks not win that game for them? I mean, he was a disaster. He was terrible.
Yeah. I completely agree. So we're
I got us off track. My apologies. So
it's fine though, because that's one of the games for tonight. So I like the Warriors -8 tonight. And it sounds like, are you on the opposite side than AP?
No, I can't. It's the home team factor. It's kind of the, if you're out there, in a public better and you're watching that game, while Memphis did look like the last two games, to be honest, the Warriors shouldn't have won, the game before that. They looked terrible. They played one of the worst games that I've ever seen. A late, flurry from Stephen Curry is kind of what got it done for them. We haven't seen good shooting at all. That's going to turn around. That's definitely good. And the thing about the Warriors and how it's so easy for them to cover a spread like this is their three-point shooting. When they get hot, when they pour it on, we could see the exact same thing will happen in Memphis. And they don't have Ja. I mean, I know their record and whatever, in the regular season without Ja, but still, you're expecting a third game in a row of some of the best play I've ever seen from Tyus Jones. I mean, he could do it, but the dude has been incredible, through two games. I don't know if he can keep it going. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but is he making what, 60, 65, maybe 70% of his shots? I mean, it seems like it. I don't know if I've seen him miss a 3-point shot. So he's made 7. Okay, so he's shooting 50% from 3-point range. I mean, the dude is he's been lighting them up. He's been making plays. You have Dylan Brooks, who's just been terrible. Jaron Jackson, who hasn't been in foul trouble yet. I got to go with you, Spread. I got to go on the Warriors side here. But I will say, they got a puncher's chance. I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, they do. I think they match up well, and I think they found something with Steven Adams, and the Warriors have yet to counteract him. Because, we talked about it yesterday. They should be attacking him in the pick and roll. They should make him unplayable like most teams do to most centers now in the playoffs. And if any team could do it, it's them. So we'll see what happens, because when they leave him in there, the Grizzlies had 18 more offensive rebounds and 18 more rebounds total or 18 offensive rebounds total and 18 more rebounds than the Warriors 63-45 in Game 5. So if they allow that to happen, it's going to be trouble. Tyler, what do you think?
I mean, yeah.
Memphis wins tonight. We're going to Game 7.
Oh, Tyler.
Everyone's gonna line up after that last game. They beat them by 30. They're antagonizing Steph. They're gonna be like, Warriors by 50 in this game. Warriors by 1,000,000. Mm-hmm. This is a bad matchup.
They're like, whoop that trick, right?
Yeah, this is a bad matchup for them. I think Memphis keeps it very close. And God forbid Golden State has another hiccup. Memphis forces this to Game 7. Bane looked good in that last game. He didn't look as banged up as he did in the first couple ones. He's starting to get his feet under him again. This is going to be a close game. So, yeah, definitely give me the +8, and I'm sprinkling on that money line. I see something wrong with this Warriors team that other people don't.
Yeah.
Everyone's just surrounded by
the thing that's wrong is like they're just lazy and stuff. And like with the veterans that they have on the team, they should be able to flip that switch on, and we'll see it. So I don't know. Like I get both arguments for it. What I am relying on, because I don't want to seem like I'm going back and forth, but I do understand both sides. My argument is that you got Draymond Green, you got Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, and Andrew Wiggins, who for starters, and then Jordan Poole, who's been incredible. Hopefully, Otto Porter is able to go tonight. I know he's still questionable. That's going to be a huge piece. I don't know. We should see a tighten rotation, and these guys should be fresh. They should be incredibly fresh. Like they didn't play. They only played like 22 minutes last game. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler, we're going head to head again. This is a lot of fun. Let's jump into some of the projections here, because probably Tyler and I are going to give you opposite input here. But who are you targeting in this game? And it must be mentioned, and I know Big T says not to do this, but I'm a sports bettor first, so I always have to look 5 points higher on the total here. But one thing is, I like this game to go over and the other game to go under. So I'm projecting that maybe even a little more of a difference. And I know that most of you guys say, well, hey, totals don't matter. It's about the projections. But in this case, since these rotations are so shortened, I do think that the totals matter. So how are you approaching this game? Do you like it more? Do you want to be balanced between both games? How are you approaching this, AP?
Yeah, so this has been the slate that I've absolutely loved, and I wish it could continue on. And the reason is we get so much predictability, and then we get that kind of that fishing rod, out there on this Warriors team where people get kind of sucked in to playing these guys. Now, I did play Steph last slate, but he was only in one of three of my builds. But I just hammered the Memphis side of that game and just absolutely printed. And what you do is you play these studs in the first game because we know exactly what we're getting. Like DraftKings continues to underprice Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and we know we're going to get from them. We know we're going to get from Giannis, and then Big Al Horford has been incredible too. And then you look at this the Memphis side. Sure, the prices have come up a little bit. And even though I was I wasn't really hating on Tyus Jones, I was just saying the level of play, it would be hard for me to see that level of play continue. He's only 5'7". He's very much in play tonight. He's close to a lock again. He's just been incredible. Jaron Jackson, 7K. He's going to have to play big minutes. And Steven Adams, I think they're going to need him as well tonight. And he's still too cheap. So for me, I much prefer this slate versus last slate, because we know exactly what we're going to get. It's going to be easy. We just jam all these guys in and we call it a night. So for me, here's how the Warriors, and I know Big T's been hounding this too, and a lot of the JSU also on the Up to Lock show. The Warriors just have so many dudes, and it could be any one of them. It could be Draymond tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Draymond, actually. We have yet to see one of those big games where he starts off early, racking up the assists, teeing up Klay Thompson, teeing up Stephen Curry. Wiggins has been kind of the open guy, to be honest, with Steph and Klay getting a lot of the attention, and Jordan Poole. And then it's I could see one of these guys, a Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, maybe being in the winner, but the value is on the Memphis side still. Now, Taylor Jenkins does, get kind of tilting at times because he is pretty sharp with his adjustments. You know, we've seen that with Tyler Anderson. We've seen that with DeAnthony Melton, who was a ghost 2 games ago. And then he had an incredible first half in the last game. I mean, he was a huge factor there. And so, you know, that is something to be aware of. And Dylan Brooks is like one of the guys, too, that I'd be a little worried about. He's just been so bad. The shot's been off. And Matt, like, I would not be surprised if he was one of the guys that got moved out tonight in favor of someone like a DeAnthony Melton if the Warriors take an early lead. So there's going to be a lot of things on the Memphis side that could be a little tilting. The guys I trust, though, Tyus Jones, Jaron Jackson, assuming he continues to stay out of foul trouble. And then with what Tyler said, Desmond Bane looked a little bit more healthy. He even took a hard fall on his back, and he's been having back issues. He took a really hard fall, and he was still good when he got up there. So 6'2", I like him. So I'm going to have multiple pieces from the Grizzlies here, like Tyus Jones, Bane, Steven Adams for sure could make my builds. And then if you're multi-entering, open it up a little bit. Play some Kyle Anderson, play DeAnthony Melton, some of these lower-owned guys, maybe even a Brandon Clark, who look good in stretches there. So, you know, I want to kick it back to you guys because Brandon Clark was an absolute hero in the series against Minnesota, and he's been a completely different person until last game in this series as well. So, you know, Brandon Clark 3.9 is kind of a guy I'm looking at as a tournament play, assuming he can get the run.
Yeah, well, we agree with a lot here, and We the People bumped it in. So let me get this, because I agree with We the People here, right? This is fun. When we talk about offense, we seem to agree a lot, We the People. I agree with everything you said, plus is Steph, Clay, Poole go off? Will they pass the studs in the first game? I say highly unlikely. I think that sums it up pretty well. As far as the 2 things you said, I'm fine. So what I'm doing with these, and you can kind of critique my approach here. So the 2 guys that I think I'm uncertain about are Brandon Clark and Jaron Jackson. So what I'm doing is I adjust the full game to the total that I run on my totals model. I adjust it there. But then on the guys that I'm sure about, like Jaron Jackson and Brandon Clark are the 2 in particular, I just don't touch their projections. And then the idea is that, you know, I'm boosting some other guys up, I'm dropping some other guys down, and a lot of times I'm doing it while you're talking. Those 2 I'm uncertain of, so I don't want to not have any exposure at all. But at the same time, I don't necessarily love them. Like, for example, Jaron Jackson getting in foul trouble, I think that's a coin flip tonight. I mean, I really think it's 50-50. And Brandon Clark's a little less. Like, I don't think he's going to have a good night, but at the same time, I don't want a full fade.
Here, okay, so I had to look back at my notes just real quick, not meaning to interrupt, but like,
no, go ahead.
Here's one reason why DeAnthony Melton did not get much run in that game. The Memphis was winning the entire game. Their core 5 that was in there was Steven Adams, Jaron Jackson. Brooks was bad, but he was still fine. Desmond Bane was hurt, but he was still doing things defensively. And then Tyus Jones was just an absolute hero. And then I believe it was Zaire Williams and Kyle Anderson off the bench who were effective. They had the lead the whole time. They didn't need to Jenkins did not need to make that adjustment with DeAnthony Melton tonight. So what you do, I'm building 3 lineups. You're going to need exposure to this game. How it pans out is going to be dependent on game flow. If the Warriors take an early lead and get up, Jenkins is going to go to his bench. He's going to go to Melton for sure. Maybe take Brooks out if he's missing shots. And we're going to see more Zaire Williams, who isn't a strong fantasy producer. So it would be Kyle Anderson and Brandon Clark would be the guys I'm looking at. Look at their price tags: 3.9, 4.3, and 4.1. So if you plug those 3 guys in, playing on a script where Memphis is coming from behind, you could fit a ton of the studs in from that first game where we know we're getting guaranteed production. We know what Giannis is going to do. We know what Tatum's going to do. We know what Brown and these guys are going to do. So I'm building multiple routes tonight. One is going to be a Memphis value playing on the game script of them coming from behind. The other will be Memphis, taking the lead, kind of what we saw there 2 games ago. And that's kind of how I'm going to build tonight. And I think one of those paths is definitely going to be the winner.
And I love how the bets and the DFS are just perfectly coinciding today, because I think that if you agree with me and you like the Warriors -8, while you were doing that breakdown, I just went in and pumped up DeAnthony Melton. I had left him exactly what Saber and RPS had him projected as. But you're right. If I do like the Warriors to win big, there is going to be more need for his offense. He is going to get some more run. So I like that. Now, if you're on Tyler's side, maybe you stay away from that, right? Because you're assuming, hey, if Memphis is ahead at the end of the first half, there's no need for DeAnthony Melton. So I feel like, we did a great job there, and you take who you like on the bet side, and then you build your lineup that way. Tyler, go ahead and break this down. Tell me if there's any DFS guys that you like, plays that you're looking at, and of course, give us the winners on the props.
No, I mean, I think AP touched on everything when it comes to DFS. But looking at some of these props, I mean, if you think Memphis keeps it close, Jaron Jackson's got to have another big game. His points props at 17.5. He's got to go over that if they keep it close. His rebounds is 7.5.
You're not worried about foul trouble? Because I'm worried for him tonight.
I mean, you could have foul trouble, but he hasn't had it yet, so I'm not worried about it.
Great point.
And you could go to his threes over 2.5 plus 130. That'd be some routes I'd go. And of course, you can go to Tyus Jones, his 2.5 threes plus 126. If you like his points just straight up at 14.5, you could do that. Or go to his assist at 6.5. You could also just do the combo of his points plus assists, and you're getting that at 21.5. That'd be some ways I'd approach that game.
I like that. And our well-dressed chatter, GQ, says, good point. JJJ doesn't get in foul trouble versus the Warriors because they're too busy shooting threes and not attacking the rim. I mean, he might have a great point.
That's true.
So, yeah. All right, Tyler, anything more from this game? And we're going in opposite order again, 2 days in a row.
No, that's it for me on that one.
All right. Well, that's fine. I don't mind doing this game second because, to be honest, for my viewing tonight, this is the main event. The Bucks and the Celtics. It's been the best series. If you're just an NBA fan, you just watch the show. Hey, what's up? You don't bet. I mean, just watching the games. This has been the best series. It's the only one where home court isn't worth like 17 points in your model, right? They've both shown the ability to win on each other's court. So you can't just say, oh, well, Milwaukee's at home. They're going to win, right? Boston's already proved they can do it here. In fact, no team has won 2 games in a row. So that favors Boston. I'll let Tyler and our guy Robert in the chat break down all the referee trends because, of course, we can't do an NBA playoff game without breaking down the refs. But you know what, AP? Hey, give me some credit for loyalty here, right? I'm gonna stick with the team. I've been on the Bucks every game so far. Won 3, lost 2. I'll take them again. Bucks in 6 is the rallying cry for our guy Titletown and the rest of his friends in the Deer District. And I believe it comes true tonight. But I'll tell you what, I like that Warriors play more. But I still do like the Bucks here. Break it down. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we got Scott Foster, I believe, reffing this game, which Tyler will touch on. But yeah, I mean, this look at the spread here. It's really telling. While these other series, like the home team, have had such an advantage, that just hasn't really applied here. And I don't think you can count the Celtics team out. They were right there. I feel like the Bucks definitely stole one, and it would not surprise me to see Boston steal one back and let's go to a game 7 at all. It's close. If I betting wise, I do kind of like Boston here because this series has all the feels of a 7-game series, and so that's kind of what I'm betting on. So Boston plus 1.5. So it comes down to Horford, Tatum, Brown, Smart, and keep an eye on if they get Bob Williams back. I don't know if he's going to play that much of a role, so it'll be more of Grant Williams there, who they like on Giannis. But man, I don't know. This is definitely going to be the game to watch tonight. As far as DFS goes, too, the studs. Like I said before, we know what we're going to get from them. Tatum, Brown, any of these guys are all good plays. If you use an optimizer, plug in the optimizer, and you can kind of see who the best guys are that are going to fit with your lineups. But we know what we're going to get from these guys, and it's just going to be an absolute battle. I do like the Celtics though in a close one. So that's what I'm going with. I think this game's going 7. Give me Boston plus 1.5.
All right, but before we go to Tyler, let me ask you: is this the Al Horford bounce back game? He crushed. And then in game 5 was the first game that he did not put up huge numbers. Are you going back to Al Horford, right? Do you expect him to get back on track tonight, AP?
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think this is more of a Jason Tatum game. I think it's a Tatum and Brown game. We're to that point in the series now where these stars are going to shine. So while Horford is definitely in play, the price is up there on DraftKings. It's going to come down to, projections for me and kind of some of those game scripts that we talked about. But it's Jason Tatum, it's Jaylen Brown, it's those guys. And I think Marcus Smart too. He needs to bounce back. He kind of lost that game for them, in my opinion, there in Boston. So he needs to have a big game. But honestly, it's Tatum. Tatum 9-8, too cheap. Like, he's going to play the whole game. He's going to play, 40. What did he play last game? 40, 41. Yeah, he's going to play probably 42, 43, maybe in 44 minutes tonight. So, yeah, I love Tatum here. I love Brown, both of those guys. I think you could play them both. You could play in that one build I was talking about. You could take that Memphis value, try to plug in both Tatum and Brown, and maybe throw Drew Holiday in there, who's way too cheap. 7-9. Drew's going to play the whole game too. All of these guys are going to play huge minutes, and that would be a way to make a lineup where you're fading Giannis. So I'm not saying I'm fully fading Giannis. I'm definitely having exposure. What I'm saying is there are studs that are priced in a range to where you could fit 3 of them into your lineup, and it might make a Giannis fade build work. And if Giannis only gets 55 to 60, he's not killing you. So there's going to be a lot of different builds that look really attractive tonight that I'm going to mess around with.
That's definitely going to be a contrarian view, with Giannis averaging 34, 14, and 7 so far in the series. Tyler, I got a DM from Skip Bayless today. He says he loves the show. Now that we disagree on everything, let us know why you like the Celtics.
I mean, just like AP said, this has just kind of been like a back and forth series. One game, one team wins, and the next game it just flips to the other side. I tried to get fancy and take Boston to win back-to-back games last game, and they almost had it, and then they blew it in the end. I think this series is going 7. The ref trend says it's going 7. These refs, I mean, Scott Foster is the head ref, but that's not the one that matters. Eric Lewis is the co-ref. Boston's won 14 consecutive games with him officiating, including 5 in the playoffs. So if that streak stands, it looks like we're going to game 7. And I think we're going to game 7 because this is the best series we've had. Reminds me of the Nets-Bucks last year. So give me Boston here to win this game. I think Tatum has a big one. I think Brown also has a big game. And I don't think Drew has a big game right here. So I think they pick up the win.
Yeah, Holiday's kind of been back and forth on that roller coaster as well. So we're opposite there. I like the Bucks, but I'm sure not only did you find the spread, you like some player performance doubles as well. What do you got?
Yeah, looking at some of these, we got – I mean, if you like the Milwaukee side, you could take the Giannis double-double and win at plus 110. But, I mean, some of these, Jason Tatum 30-plus and win plus 240 would be one I'd look at. If you think Horford bounces back, him to get 10-plus rebounds and win plus 270. You can go Jaylen Brown, 5-plus assists if you think he does a little bit more facilitating. You can go Tatum 5-plus threes at plus 440. Brown 4-plus threes at plus 460. Tatum even 35 points at plus 580 would be some ways I'd attack this game.
All right, Tyler. Jaylen Brown 8,200. Jason Tatum 9,800. So considering the price, who would you rather play?
I think Tatum this game.
Okay, so you guys both like Tatum more. I was kind of leaning towards Brown, but you make some great points. This is probably going to be just Tatum all day. So there you have it. We disagree once again. We will find out tonight who is right. And, of course, we'll be running those victory laps on Monday when Glaucoma joins the show. And he was in the chat earlier making a great point that, he's either going to be really happy or really sad on Monday morning. And Glock, if you're still listening, I'm going to make sure that that Holden jumps on the show with us too. I still can't believe he didn't know that we did the rundown together, right? He's missing out on some of the most polite content in the NBA sports gambling space. All right, AP, it is time to go ahead and build the core. I've changed the projections a bit, but I'm trying to think of who I'd like to start with. Tyler, do you have someone to start with while I scroll through here?
I'll just go with Tatum.
Okay. Yeah, I think like you made a great point at 9,800. And I mean, most likely he'll score a little less, but he's got almost the same ceiling as Giannis. Wouldn't you agree, AP?
Similar. I mean, Giannis gets a little bit more of those peripheral stats. I mean, he's just a monster on the boards and everything. So as far as like raw scoring upside, for sure. Let's go with the little D'Anthony Melton, a guy that tilted us the last time we were at the Warriors. I think they're going to need him tonight. He looked good in that stretch. And if the Warriors can come out and make a statement early, Jenkins is the type of coach that makes adjustments. And the adjustment would be Melton, could also be Kyle Anderson early in there. But Melton was kind of that spark plug that got things extended in the second unit.
All right, and I'm going to play it safe here with someone who I think that has a high floor, and it's also kind of low priced here, and that's going to allow us to get up because I want to have two of the studs from this game, either Giannis and Tatum or Giannis and Brown. We'll see how it works out as we continue to build this, but I like Steven Adams here. I just think the floor is so high, and he's going to get so many rebounds, So I just, I got a guy at 4,500 with a high floor that's going to allow me to get to the studs who, like you said earlier, let's take these studs in game one. We, the people, said, let's take these studs in game one. All I want is these high floor guys to go ahead and be the great supporting cast. So I'll throw Steven Adams in there as the third spot. Do you want to pick the fourth, AP, or Tyler, do you got one for us?
I mean, I don't hate that Brandon Clark idea that AP gave.
Okay.
They get blown out. He comes onto the floor late. What about a guy like Damian Lee for the Warriors, though? If they blow him out, he's got to get some run.
No, I don't think you get any blowout run in a I don't think they'll switch in elimination.
Even if Golden State's up like 40 in the fourth, he's not going to get that whole fourth.
I bet the Warriors -8, and they're not going to be up by 40.
I wouldn't go there. There's too many better values on the Memphis side that will get run. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to need some cheap value, so I'm fine with that. And that would be a build where we're fading Jaron Jackson, and what that allows us to do is maybe get Giannis, easily to get Giannis in there with Tatum. So you do that. If you're playing Clark there, you're definitely wanting Giannis in your lineup.
Yeah, I'm going to give Clark a little bump on the projections right now. So there you go. We have a core of Adams, Melton, Tatum,
Melton. Clark. So degenerate.
It's tough.
So keep in mind, this is like when I post I try to be very transparent. I'm making 3 builds tonight. A lot of them are game script dependent. So the DeAnthony Melton lineup is going to follow a game script that I see panning out, but it's going to be wrapped around these core guys that we know what we're getting from Tatum. Like Tatum is probably close to a lock for me tonight. He's at least going to be in 2 of my 3. If not all 3. So keep that in mind.
All right. Let's give them best bets. What do you got for us, AP, on our best bet, side total or prop?
I'm going Celtics +1.5. We're seeing a game 7.
All right. AP's betting on a lot of fun for us this Sunday. Tyler, what do you see?
I'm on the same thing. Give me Celtics money line. We're getting game 7.
I'm not going to go against you guys. I'm going to go to the nightcap, and I'll take the Warriors -8. I think, throw this last game's results out the window. I'm not too concerned that they got blown out. Like I said, what's the difference between losing by 10 and losing by 30? And I think they knew that. That's why they rested their guys early. And I think we see a great front-running style performance tonight, and I think all the Warriors are going to hate. Warriors haters will hate tonight as Steph is doing his little dances around the court, and you know how they kind of get when they're winning. So that's what I expect.
The worst is the fans when you start hearing the Warriors chant. Just so annoying. God. Can't stand it.
Either have a lot of bourbon or have the mute button ready, because that's what we expect for tonight. AP, you want to let everyone know the great content that Run Pure Sports is creating this weekend?
Yeah, we got MMA this weekend. I believe they just recorded the show not too long ago. We got NASCAR. We got NBA, obviously, on Sunday. Showdown slates. We have the PGA Championship next week. MLB every single day. So tons of content over here at Run Pure Sports.
Yeah, and if you're not a member, make sure you head on over to runpuresports.com. Use that promo code.
Obviously, one thing I wanted to add, it's going to be our little 2-year anniversary. We're the worst at this stuff. But I just realized that 2 years ago was our inception date on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be Run Pure's 2 year.
At UPS, they call that Founders Day. So what we call
Founders Day. There you go.
Yeah, because you guys founded the company on that day. Tyler, I know in place of words of wisdom, right? Instead of giving everybody a platitude on getting in shape and keeping their mind calm, you'd rather just give out a winning parlay. So did you cook one up for us?
I did not today. They'll have to wait until the Discord for this one.
All right, and that's another good reason to become a member of runpuresports.com. Use that promo code, get bets. And of course, if you are doing that, you will be able to watch the final countdown as they continue to dive into kind of some of the stuff that we're discussing. And then, of course, give their own perspectives, because I know a lot of times, and you would know if you've been watching the show every day, a lot of the panelists disagree, right? So I'll be real interested to see if JSU and Big T agree with our game script, or if they see it going a different way. And you can, of course, adjust your projections and your lineups accordingly. AP, thank you for joining us. Always fun doing this. We had success last time you were on. I was able to cash a ticket with the core that we built. So looking to do it again. Thank you very much for joining us. Anything else for the people before we go?
No, I mean, I wouldn't fade Big T, so I don't know if you were following him on Twitter. So I'll be really curious to see, and I might have to flip flop if he's like way against me tonight. So he'll be see. He was golfing today, and so the cart he got was 44. His like FanDuel account was 44, 44,000. Hashtag how rich. Like, geez, yeah. Big T. But no, that's his number. That's his good luck number. So we got to follow him tonight, and we all get rich, right?
All right, Founders Day, we are running pure.